On the 30th of July 2021, the President of Uganda, His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Tihaburwa Museveni, came out and gave a public address on the COVID-19 pandemic and the lockdown. Ladies and gentlemen, as he was easing most of the areas like public transport, the malls, unfortunately or fortunately, areas or places of worship were not touched. Now, this left most clergymen and religious men unsettled. Ladies and gentlemen, they roared to the extent that some even threw government to courts of law. Ladies and gentlemen, there is one man in particular that actually picked our attention. He was heading the tabloids the whole of last week everywhere. He threw the Attorney General of the Republic of Uganda in court. He threw the Minister for Health, Dr. Acheng, in court. And likewise, Dr. Atwine. Ladies and gentlemen, now today I decided to give him a courtesy visit. Dr. Wisdom Peter K. He actually went on to say that places of worship are as necessary as the businesses. Now I want to talk to him. I want to find out. At his office, he's actually given me permission to come and talk to him. Now come, let's find out. Let's talk to him.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much. I'm grateful.
Thank you. Please have.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for talking to us.
You're welcome. And good to see you again.
Good to see you too. By the way, the last time me and the bishop here, now doctor, everywhere in the tabloids, you're doctor. I didn't know about that, but that's a discussion for later. I've not seen him in like a year. You last saw him last year on the desk. And now, the next I hear, you're topping tabloids. Mm-hmm. First and foremost, you sued the Attorney General.
Yes.
You sued Dr. Acheng.
Yes.
Dr. Atwine. Mm-hmm. Who do you think you are?
I'm a Ugandan. I'm a Ugandan citizen, participating in the affairs of my country. Mm-hmm. It's my right as a citizen.
Right.
Even before I'm a man of God, even before I am a scientist, I'm a citizen of Uganda.
Right.
Yes, in that capacity, I can participate in the running of my country.
But we don't see a lot of citizens coming out and throwing government.
Maybe I'm unique.
So it has nothing to do with you being a man of God?
Well, I am a man of God with interests in the direction that our country is taking.
Yes.
But what I want to say is that if you ask me for who I am a citizen. And maybe for any citizen out there,
yes,
they should know that they have equal rights. Yes, to participate in the affairs of their nation.
Okay.
If no citizen was going to court, would the courts be relevant?
No, they would not. But in your, is it called an affidavit?
Yes.
In your affidavit, as I was reading the details in the news last week, you're in a way insinuating that religion is of the same relevance or importance as the economics. And I, as a person, am very uncomfortable when you mention that.
Well, I'm sorry that you're uncomfortable, but I don't know if I'm sorry anyway. You know, when you look at the biggest part of mankind all over the world, the biggest percentage have some form of religious affiliation. And that goes to show you the extent to which religion is integrated in the being of man. So much so that in every nation you go to, freedom of worship is one of those human rights that cannot be taken away from man. And that freedom of worship brings men benefits that transcend what business can do. Do you know why?
Why?
Many times when they're stressed by business, many times when they're stressed in families, they run to religion. They come to us, the religious leaders. And that is why we are more important. That means we give something that business cannot give them.
But you know, you stated your fact very well. You say when business is stressing, when family is stressing. That means predominantly business has an upper hand. Without business stressing these people, you have no market.
You see, maybe I was just building a point. Think about this. Have you ever seen a dead body?
Yeah.
You have ever seen a dead body?
Yeah.
That dead body is surrounded by as much air as surrounds you, but yet dead. Because something is missing. The essence of man is not just that body, but there is an invisible ethereal part of man. And that is the part that religion has a responsibility to nurture, to build, and to strengthen.
Mm-hmm.
That actually is the essence of man. That is the part actually that guides business, that guides man through his walk in life.
Right.
And business cannot minister to that part.
Right. Before we get all religious and spiritual, the last time you were here, you put me in a corner and I accepted. Today, I have my facts at hand.
All right.
So you throw in the government, Dr. Acheng, Ministry of Health, and the permanent secretary, right?
Yes.
You throwing them in court is actually, in a way, saying you're undermining their effort towards the COVID-19. The efforts, because you're saying they should open churches. What you mean, Dr. Ruth Acheng and her effort as the Ministry of Health, what they have done is of no significance?
Well, it would be interpreted like that, but I don't think it is accurate. Because in our filing, in our suing, we are very clear. This is it. We do not mean to undermine anyone. We do not mean to underestimate anyone's efforts. And we are again not in any way saying there is no COVID-19. COVID-19 is there.
Yeah.
Might I also state that we also acknowledge that government has a role to play in protecting its citizens.
Yeah.
All right? Our contention is there are people who are hiding behind the management of COVID-19 to suppress religious freedom in Uganda. And we list down the various points of contention that we see. You see, COVID-19 is there. It has got to be managed. Government has a role. But there are people who have for years been ambitious with their dream of decimating religious freedom in this nation. And they are using this as a comfortable time.
Bishop Wisdom, actually, before I go for a short break, this is just a question.
Yes.
Are you affiliated or from the born again kind of?
Yes, I am born again. I'm a born again.
Why, as we go for a short break in a nutshell, why is it that you people feel entitled to carry all the burdens of the religious people? The Catholics are there, the Muslims are there.
Well, the Muslims are there and all other religions. But you see, when they are all there, at one point someone has to step out and speak and represent the rest.
That being born again all the time.
Well, I think saying born again is a generalization, but is there a problem with leadership? Maybe you would look at it in the fact that...
Are you the leader of the born again faith?
Maybe I'm leading this cause. You see, the whole thing being that we have a challenge at hand, and someone has to take it on. And this is a democratic nation, right? We have courts of law. So someone one day has to wake up and go to the courts and challenge the discrimination.
We have archbishops,
yes,
cardinals with experience in these religious traits.
Okay.
They've not come out because they know what government is doing in good faith.
Okay.
So I'm sorry to say, but you're not even 40.
All right.
And your practice in this pastoral or religious thing cannot outweigh them.
Yes.
As we go for a short break, really, do you in a way think that they are stupid or they are not seeing what's going on, that it has to be you to come out?
I'll tell you this. I have over 10 years experience preaching the gospel, and I don't think that should be undermined.
Yeah.
And then when we go to the court, we have gone legal. We are obeying the principles of democracy. So when you talk about democracy, it is the right of every man and every woman to make their choice. Yeah. So while some have decided to keep quiet, it is their democratic right, I presume. While I've chosen to speak out, it is my democratic right. Right. That's the level at which I look at it.
So it has nothing to do with Cardinal so and so has experience.
Maybe in their experience they have made their choice, and in my experience I have made my choice. I think the churches should be opened and without restrictions. On that point of without restrictions, I'm going to go for a short break. When we come back, we talk about the restrictions. All right. How realistic they are, or even not. All right.
Now, you're still a lovely audience. Do not go away. We are actually still on the road in the office of the wise teacher, Bishop Wisdom K. Now, do not touch your dial. The desk actually returns in a bit. And welcome back to the second segment of this very lovely episode of The Desk, where we're actually talking religious matters. And I tell you, it has gone legal. Gone are the days where the religious folk would just sit around, put their tails in their legs, and just walk away as government backed. They have decided to stand up and go to the courts of law. Now, my guest tonight, ladies and gentlemen, this man, he has his facts on hand. He has studied the law. But you can follow this very lovely discussion on our social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And by the way, this show is actually live on U24 television. It is live on Shadrach Kisame's YouTube. And we're also live on Wisdom K?
The Wise Teacher.
The Wise Teacher. We are live on the Wise Teacher Facebook page right now. So if you have people that are not in, you could actually tell them to, they are not on their television set, tell them to actually go to the Wise Teacher Facebook page or Shadrach Kisame YouTube. Wise Teacher, let's talk about these restrictions.
Yes.
Why don't you want to be restricted yet we have a pandemic? Actually, with my little legal background or knowledge,
Yes.
there's what we call force majeure. Force majeure is when the course of a contract of action changes because of pandemics, supernatural things that have no control of anyone.
Yes.
And the COVID-19 pandemic is one of them, earthquakes and all those things.
Okay.
So there's what we call the force majeure. So when the force majeure happens, why do you people choose to insist to act normally, yet we're in abnormal times?
Wow, thank you so much for that. Now, you see, in our constitution, we don't have a clause that gives science preeminence over religion when it comes to solving our problems as a nation. Neither is there a clause that would indicate to the end of the force majeure that in case there is such a challenge, we should go religion. Do you know we should go religion or science? Do you know why? In this very country, there are so many people with countless testimonies. All right, countless testimonies of diseases being healed supernaturally through religion. I'll give you a particular example. In the early 90s, there was a man years ago was called Apostle Deobala Nyakubu. When HIV,
Ugandan?
In Uganda, yes.
Okay.
Over Prayer Palace, Chibi. And I remember that man, when Uganda didn't have the resources to deal with the HIV disease, which was in great abundance that time, that man stood and said God could heal HIV. There are so many people up to today who have testimonies of having been healed by that man. So when we have
but a lot have died also in this sagas of yours you call healing.
You see, when you talk about a lot have died in the sagas of healing, how many people have died ever since science came into action? But why do we trust it? Why do we still give science a benefit of doubt? I love there's one man I admire who gave us an example of the Wright brothers who invented the first plane. Think about how many planes have crashed since the invention of the idea of flying. Supposing we focused on those failures and crashes, would we have flying today? We wouldn't.
No.
So there is no idea that is perfected at inception. It grows with time and it is perfected. That is why you notice, however much people love to trust science, you are here. Have you ever been to the lab when they're testing the medicines?
No.
Do you realize you actually take the vaccines and the medicines by faith? That's what happens. So likewise, in religion, religion is founded, the basic tenet of religion is faith. In religion, when you talk about religion, you're talking about man and deity. When it comes to man and deity, deity sets the rules. And when deity sets the rules and man follows them, that is worship. But when a third party sets the rules, it's no longer worship, it's mockery. So for you to say that the condition for opening places of worship is giving us SOPs that are anti-faith.
How? They've only asked you, simple, get a medical worker, a doctor.
Okay.
on site, and let's have all these things, hand washing, SOPs, and all those things. It's as simple as government is thinking about your people. Yeah.
When these people were opening up partially, all right, they opened up the markets.
Yeah.
I remember last year when they finally opened up the places of worship.
Yeah.
They capped the number of people that can come to the place of worship.
Yeah.
First it was 70, then 200. That is discrimination. Someone can catch coronavirus in the market. They have even presented the argument of, you see a person spends little time in the supermarket, but in the church the risk is greater because they spend longer hours. You see, whether the hours are longer or not, if you have caught it, you have caught it. They might not get it in the marketplace. They could get it on the border. There is no social distancing on the border. They can get it on the street. Are we together?
Yeah.
Now, when you do not cap the market, that's why I told you that you need to understand that science and religion are not married. They operate under different principles. You see, for example, when we go to the Lord, He's supreme, He's all-knowing, He's all-powerful. There is nothing impossible before Him. You cannot, you see, when you go to the Lord wearing a mask, you are telling Him He can't protect you. That is mockery. That's not worship.
Let's slow it down. So you're telling people on national television that it is a mockery to God to go to church with a mask.
To stand on God's podium in a mask, that is mockery. That is the worship of Baal. Do you know who God is? You see, I am a scientist, but I'm also a servant of God. You see, if you don't know God, when you only interpret things in terms of science, that's why I'm telling you, I'm a scientist.
Yes.
Right?
For information, this man is a professional medical laboratory.
Yes. Scientific officer. Yes, and I'm also a biotechnologist. So I'm a scientist. In science.
Yeah, prodigal son.
Of science.
This man is a prodigal son.
Maybe a prodigal son of science. But look here, in science, when we want to achieve any desired end, there are principles we follow. And you can't compromise them. Likewise, in religion, for us to get the blessing, to get the results, there are principles that we might follow. We must follow. Actually, I had someone who was telling me that, look, you see, even in the Bible, those who got leprosy were always separated, isolated from the crowd.
Exactly.
And I was telling them that, you see, that was the Old Testament. When the New Testament is setting in, we see Jesus.
Isn't it still the Bible, people?
Yes, it is the Bible, but with two testaments that are distinct from each other in glory and in power.
So where are we?
So we are in the New Testament. And we see when it was at the verge of setting in, the Lord Jesus comes. For him, when he met lepers, he touched them. And they were healed. And you know what else he said? He said that those who believe in him will do greater things. You see, for the Christians out there, the question is, if Jesus were here today, would he wear a mask on his altar? Would he tell people to self-isolate themselves in the congregation? Is that what Jesus did? Jesus touched the sick. He touched the wounded, the dirty ones, the outcasts.
It was not COVID, Bishop.
You see, COVID also comes from the devil. All manner of diseases from the devil.
But we read somewhere in the Bible, someone reminded me, they said, and the Lord caused, my producer should remind me, he also doesn't go to church, that the Lord caused over upon the Egyptians sickness, what?
That which you're talking about is the judgment of God. You see, it says, I've put life and death before you. Death comes from the devil, not from God. All right? And he will tell you that if you take this path, all right, you will walk into life. If you take that path, the dark fellow will have you, take you.
Bishop, before I go for a short break, do you think you're going to win this suit?
I don't want to be speculative. Because you see, the courts have not dealt with me before. Yes. So I don't want to be speculative. I want to give them a benefit of doubt.
Okay. Do you have faith you're going to win?
Yes, I know I'll win. Because think about this, Shadrach. You know, when you say every worship place should have a medical doctor and an ambulance. Let's start with that. All right? This country alone doesn't have enough doctors. This country alone doesn't have enough ambulances.
Yes, that's correct.
When you say we should have an ambulance for every worship place as a condition for reopening, is that realistic? And if it's not realistic, why wouldn't we be suspicious of you? Because you see, we are aware of some pharaohs who have sold their souls to become conduits of the decimation of religious freedom in this country. Elsewhere in the world, governments are not focusing on young children as far as vaccination is concerned.
Yeah.
But in our country, young children have been stopped from going to school. It's coming to the end of the second year. They have been stopped from going to church, that they must be vaccinated first. Yet coronavirus is scientifically not a problem to children below 12 years of age.
Yeah.
You get where I'm coming from?
We want to eliminate any... Bishop,
you want to eliminate?
We want to eliminate any, because these young children will end up infecting the older ones.
Good. Now let me educate you on the elimination. To show you that this is a weird agenda that we are trying to stand in the way of. You remember how they advertise polio?
Yes.
They say kick polio out of Uganda.
Yes.
That is not what they are doing about coronavirus. Actually, recently the Minister of Health said, this vaccination only protects you from hospitalization if you get sick. And then she added that it does not prevent you from catching the disease. Can you imagine that? Do you get the difference? But it is all vaccination. Recently, we've been hearing reports that there might be a need for that jab. Now, all these reports, you see, when someone has power, all right? When someone has power and has the knowledge and is dealing with an ignorant population, they can bring up anything acceptable to take them on a ride. But you see, on this side of religion, they're also scientists.
People like you who are religious.
Who are awake. We are awake. Because think about it. Why wouldn't I be suspicious of you when you say I should go and use the online platforms? And then the most common one we could use is Facebook. And only 3.5 million Ugandans out of 46 million can access Facebook. But you shut it down at the beginning of the year.
Was that targeting you?
Look, when you are managing a nation, all right? When you're managing a nation, before you make a decision, there are things you think about. Who will be affected and who will not be. If we were that important in their minds, they would have thought about it before shutting it down. But they have continually showed us that we are not important and we are standing up for our rights. And as if that's not enough, they increased the tax on data, internet data. This year in the budget. What message is that? So we have so many villages in this country that don't know about internet. So how do the ministers reach them? Are those points not worth discussion among the Ugandans, or is it that their religious affairs don't matter?
All right. Now that is the question that the wise teacher is leaving for this segment to the floor. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll take a short break and the desk comes back in a bit as we find out, are they rioting because they do not have food as men of God because there is no offering? After the break. And by the way, we are still actually on the road in the office of the wise teacher, Bishop Wisdom K. Ladies and gentlemen, it's an exclusive, it's actually a courtesy visit that he allowed us to come to his office and have a chit chat. But from the way things are going, things are actually heated up. These people actually think they're higher than what they truly are. Because where the man gets an audacity to throw an entire government in court, only God knows. But you can still catch this discussion on our social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Actually, if someone is in the diaspora and they are not on TV, tell them that the desk is live on Shadrach's YouTube and the Wise Teacher Facebook. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are interested in politics, religion, you better sit back, relax, better head in forward, or even stand up. Because the man that I have, he shoots from the hip, he says like he knows it, he has his facts on hand. You can never put him to the wall. The wise teacher. Simple question.
Yes, sir.
You people, your churches are not open.
Okay.
You do not work. Recently, I just saw on the tabloids a man of God making bricks. At least that one, I really that one encourages his flock to work. But people like you live lavish lifestyles, drive expensive cars, nice apartments, nice houses. But now your churches are closed. Is that the reason as to why you people are rioting? Because you're not getting tithe and you're not exploiting people anymore.
But think about this. If you acknowledge that we are living a good life, so how are we living? How are we exploiting them when we were in lockdown and not meeting?
That's why you're rioting.
No.
Because you see, when you exploit someone, you are saving in banks. People have bank accounts.
Okay.
You don't work, but you find now him. Do you have a personal bank account?
I don't want to mess up some guys.
But the man they have personal bank accounts, no jobs.
Okay, now let me tell you something. You see, one of the things that is affecting this generation is attempting to use science to explain everything, science and logic. And so anything they come across that they can't explain, it is strange. They would rather call you a thief or one who exploits simply because they can't explain you. You see, when you meet a person like me who does not have a source of income that registers to the world,
yes,
but somehow it is mysterious, then you should know that there is another kingdom that is in operation. A kingdom that people don't know, that is the kingdom of God. If it was declared that a man must be working somewhere to get money, he must have some business to have money.
Yes.
But then you met this man to whom money comes without any of those.
How? You know, this actually explains why you people are rioting.
Listen, now that is the testimony of another kingdom. Because if you have no case known that this man is a thief, are we together?
Yeah.
And you have no case against him, wouldn't you be curious to understand how this mystery works? Because you see, I told you we have science and we have the kingdom of God. And these two have different potentialities. Now, this that is messing you up is but one of the potentialities of this kingdom, doing mysterious things. And the end of the king of what we do in religion is to portray God as supreme. Now, through us, God shows himself as what? As supreme.
Bishop, if you want to stay away from the fact that you people are not rioting to open churches because of income, what is the real reason?
You see, by the way, might you also know that when God sends us, he sends us to make the flock rich.
He sends you to make the flock rich?
Make men rich.
How?
You see, now, I just like you asked me how, maybe you also need to meet the scientists and ask them the how of their procedures. I haven't had you ask the scientists how they make the vaccines that work, all right? Because the how is a long story. But like I told you earlier, that there are principles we follow and they are diametrically opposed to science. I'll give you an example. That you see, in faith, if I want to increase my money, I increase my giving. But in science, if someone wants to increase their money, the first thing they'll think about is to start a business. So you see how the principles...
That's the ideal way to go.
See, according to logic, when you come to religion and worship, you leave logic at the door. And then you come and bow before God, and then God begins to give the instructions.
Bishop, leaving my logic at the door of your office, what exactly are you chasing?
What exactly are we chasing? Now, because we are the leaders of these people, and we are appointed by God, we have a responsibility in the earth to stand for his interests. Are we together? Every religious leader subscribes to a God somewhere, to whom he gives account. Are we together? And when he sends us to preside over flock for their welfare and their livelihoods. Someone must rise up and speak for them, especially when they're in fear. The ministry of, you see, being a minister is like being a father over a family. The people in the house, the children and everyone in the house may be in fear of something that they might never talk about. Someone has to stand out. And it's always important that the father in the house is a hero. All right? So when we stand out, it's not because, do I look like someone in need?
No.
Do I look like someone who is looking for help?
No.
Have you ever had me looking for help or announcing that people should bring me money?
No.
Good. So I don't have such a record. We are here to make men rich. All right? Now, when you tell me that one minister went and made bricks, they made their choice. By the way, my type.
Isn't that a right example?
You see, I don't want to comment on that because God has not told me to make bricks. But I want to tell you this.
So the Lord... Go on.
You see, I want to tell you this, that we have science.
Yeah.
We also have religion.
Yeah.
But there is something God gave man, which even science knows. It is called the freedom of choice. It's called the freedom of what?
Choice.
Yes. Haven't you met believers who go to hospital? But are there believers also only rely on God? They are there. So you see, man in his very nature has a choice. And God created that so that there is a balance in the earth. I am telling you, this religious thing will blow up if the government is not careful. Because you cannot separate religion from men. That imbalance will grow and it will soon blow up. Why? Because this is an integral part of man that cannot be taken away from him.
Bishop, as we wind up this discussion, you know, our time is really well spent. But with this suit, what does a win for you look like? Opening up of churches, have 10,000. Actually, two men of God in this city that we know that have thousands. There is even no social distancing where you subscribe your prophet. You see thousands, and then there's another apostle of Phaneroo. Thousands of them.
Yes.
So, is that what you want?
What we want is our liberty to express faith.
Like that, so people can die?
Can I tell you something? For you to say that people can die is your side of the story. Our story is different. Our story is different. Am I dead?
Because
don't I look healthy to you?
No, because we preserved you from COVID. Imagine we had opened and all your people. You have a church of like what? 300 people.
Do you keep tabs on how I live my life?
No.
Thank you. Now the whole thing is this. Like I told you, in our constitution, there is no law that even exalts the right to life above the right to religion. It's not there. Because you see they're hiding in the right to life, to go the way of science. But is there anything that shows that the right to religion comes in the way of the right of life? Is religion a threat? You see, religion is founded on faith. And to us a win looks like this. The places of worship being opened without restrictions that come in the way of faith. All right? People who are in government today despise faith, and I don't know why. But I have a question for them. One time in this nation, there was a government that was deemed by some as dictatorial, as terrible, and as bad. And some 27 men who were not even in government had a dream that they could overthrow a sitting government on a nation. 27 men going against an army, going against a government with an army. All right? And they won. And they have since been in government. I have a question to them. When they had that dream, was that science or was it faith? And if it worked for them, why are they not giving faith a chance in places of
Maybe it was hope.
It was what? Hope and faith are one and the same if we will come and talk about them in science. Because they all refer to something that cannot be seen, yet it is dreamed and envisioned.
Bishop, let me get your argument.
Yes.
You're saying what you give to these people when they come is faith to take on anything, like the 27 men.
You see, we give them faith, we give them life, we heal them.
Are you God?
We have power of attorney, if I may put it from God, to do what He will do for them.
Wow.
You see, that's how strange it is. That's why I told you that these two fields are different. I suppose you're probably a Christian, right?
Yes, I'm a Christian.
When you want to give God an offering, where do you take it? Don't you take it to the man or woman of God you subscribe to?
No, I take it to church. I just take it to church. They give us accountability of what the money has done, built the churches, cathedrals, built hospitals.
I didn't ask about the accountabilities. But somehow you believe that when you take the money to church,
we give to the needy.
You have given it to God, right?
Yes, but you know, the aftermath is very important.
Okay.
Because, you know, we've given to the needy, they've built the cathedrals, they've built hospitals from this. But when it comes to you, why we choose to call it exploitation?
Okay.
Bishop, I know your car.
All right.
You drive a very nice car.
Okay.
And to be honest, this must be offering from needy people.
But you see, when to you a car is something so great, that is a very small vision. That is why.
But Bishop, that thing is over 70 million.
You see,
that is a lot of
money. That
money.
is one of the reasons we have gone to court. Because if driving a 70 million car is so big, then we have to save many Ugandans. 70 million?
That's not money?
That is 70 million?
70 million is not money.
Have you been to Dubai? Have you been to the US?
No.
The cars that those little kids drive, and you talk about 70 million?
Are you people politicians or men of God?
No, we are not politicians. We come from a kingdom that is way wealthy. You know, when you have a visitation in God, or in heaven, you'll find out that in heaven the streets are made of gold.
No. So these are dreams you people get out of fantasizing.
The next time you come here,
yes,
and you find the floor in gold,
yes,
and I'm still going further. Maybe you'll have something to say. But until the floor is gold, I haven't yet established in the earth,
yes,
what I saw in heaven.
Bishop, finally, as we close, this is actually the last question. With you, we can never stop. If you sat Dr. Ruth Acheng with me right now, maybe in her office or over a cup of coffee, what would you tell her?
I would tell her that the motto for this nation is for God and my country, not for science and my country. That's what I would tell her.
Thank you very much. It is a wrap. Thank you very much for hosting us, and thank you very much for talking to us.
Amen.
You're a hard man to find, but thank you for seeing me today.
All right.
Okay, now you are been actually a lovely audience. This has been The Desk on U24 television. Today we've actually been streaming on my YouTube channel, Shadrach Kisame, and then also on the Wise Teacher Facebook page. This man has been very generous. He gave us his office to stream here live, and then also his YouTube page. Now you can follow me, Shadrach Kisame, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Do the same for The Wise Teacher, at The Wise Teacher, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Now, for God and my country, until next week, same place, same time, good night, good luck, adios.